Back around 5 years ago, Toby Turner was the king of YouTube. He had already been around for a long time, knew a lot of people, and most importantly, got a ton of views. To understand just how big he really was, they sold action figures of him in stores. No, seriously, back in the day he was so popular, they actually sold an action figure of him at Toys R Us. But now looking at all his channels now, they're all kind of ghost towns and none of them get any views. So what happened? I know there was that one big incident that happened last year that many people point to as the downfall of Tobuscus, but honestly I don't think that that's really the case, but I'll get to that later in the video. First, I want to talk about Toby and how him as well as other big stars operated on this website back in the early days. Back around 5 years ago, most of the big YouTubers on this site had multiple accounts for different types of content they made, and Toby Turner is one of the most cliche examples of this. You first had his main account where he posts his biggest content. Secondly, you'd have their vlogging channel, which would usually be indicated by a little 2 on their logo, and these videos were usually behind the scenes coverage. Please don't think of them as the vlogs of today like Casey Neistat does where there's actually work put into them. Usually it was just them with a little camera recording stuff throughout the day, and then they slapped it all together for a quick video. Finally, you had people's gaming channel, which was also not high quality content as well. Most of these channels usually operated by them playing a 2-hour video game at the beginning of the week, then chopping it up into 7 parts for daily uploads. Nowadays, most big YouTubers usually only have one channel where they'll sink most of their time into making the content, or at the most 2. Which I think is good because even back in the day I thought 3 channels to manage led people to spread themselves too thin. With so much quality content on the site now compared to back then, people don't have the time to watch poorly edited vlogs or lazily slap together Let's Plays as much. Most of the people that ran this format of having 3 separate channels usually abandoned 1, 2, or maybe all 3 of them in most cases. But Tobuscus has stuck around with every single one of them. So let's take a look at all 3 of his dead channels. Let's begin with the channel that started it all, Tobuscus. What you must realize is that Toby is now in a very small group of YouTubers that started making content on their channel all the way back in 2006 and are still around today. Not only was he early to the party, but also had some basic understanding of filmmaking right from the very beginning. His earliest work included multiple camera angles for the skits and some decent editing for the time. While he's done a lot of projects on his channel in the past decade, there are 2 series that outshine the others. The first were his original comedic songs.
Look at little Tim sleeping so soundly.
Wake up, Timmy, what if there's a monster?
Don't be scared, Timmy, or he'll eat you. Monsters smell, they're looking for you.
I got a safety torch. Put it on your board, it's a safety torch. Put it in the hallway, safety torch. Scare the monsters away.
The other big series was literal trailers where he'd tell you exactly what was going on in a popular trailer for a movie or game.
Our star, this is where your 2018
is gonna take place.
While I was never a fan, a lot of people were, with tons of these songs getting over 10 million views, with the biggest being a Minecraft song that currently sits at 73 million. Those are crazy big numbers, especially back in the day. Currently though, view-wise, the channel only gets around 1/10 of what it did in its prime, which is actually good compared to his other accounts, but we'll get to those soon enough. Even with 6 million followers, videos from what used to be his popular literal trailer series only get around 100,000 views apiece. But to be fair, he's done some serious songs that cracked the 500,000. Let's take a look at the song Push. While this song is fine and all, the way it's shot makes me think it's comedic and the punchline is coming up. If you're going to have a sad song and don't have the cash for a professional shoot, at least do some color correction to match the tone of the music. Look, just did it myself. Anyway, yeah, this channel did take quite a dip, but not nearly as much as his other 2 channels, which I'll get to next. Next up, we have a second account, Toby Turner, which he himself describes as lazy vlogs. And yes, I would agree with that assessment. Don't believe me? Let's try to watch his latest video.
Okay, so I have a beard, kind of. This is probably the most bearded situation I've ever had on my face. I don't know if I should get rid of it. And so I have a music video I'm making, and it's like, you know, it's like dramatic song or whatnot, something like that. Okay, so so November is like happening, like right after this month.
Back in the day, this used to just be secondary content for people to watch if they were super fans. But nowadays, with guys like Casey Neistat who actually put a lot of work into their vlogs, this just doesn't slide, and it feels like it's just wasting the viewer's time. Even back then, I had no idea how people could watch videos like these. But they did, with Toby's vlogging channel getting over 10 million views a month in its heyday. Now, well, you see the numbers listed on the screen. Only about 5,000 of the 2 million subscribers still watch consistently. But to be fair, the channel only has a handful of videos that are over that subscriber total. This was a common thing for the secondary channels back in the day. People subscribed to all the YouTubers' accounts even though they never watched the vlogs because, well, they are boring. The most watched video on this channel is surprisingly high though. 29 million people got suckered into clicking on Justin Bieber kisses Selena Gomez. So let's take a look.
So I've been setting up my set today, trying to figure out ways I'm going to film this new video that I'm posting next week. It's like a crazy interactive video and it involves me chewing bubblegum. It's not bubblegum, it's just gum. No bubbles involved.
Yep, and that thumbnail and title have nothing to do with the video. People think YouTubers like me nowadays go and make a lot of clickbait content, but it's nowhere near as bad as what people did back in the 2011-2012 era. These were back in the magical days of YouTube, back in 2009, 10, and 11, where YouTube did not take into account audience retention rates into the algorithm. Now that I think about it, I think a lot of these vlogs survived because that wasn't in effect. Finally, we're at TobyGames, and I really have to give it to him. He took full advantage of the Let's Play boom of 2012 and 13. I remember even though I had never watched a Happy Wheels Let's Play in my life, I just kept on getting them recommended to me over and over, though I was never interested. That's how much channels like these were promoted. The other funny thing about his Let's Plays were they actually did so well that Toby's gaming channel passed out his main channel in subscribers. I'm sure this has happened before, but on the top of my head, I can't think of any other secondary accounts that outshine the original. So let's take a look at some of this content that gained him so many views and subscribers.
Ah! No! Who the hell? No, dude! No! Back in here! Back in the channel! It's fine.
Do you remember 2013 PewDiePie where he made a ton of strange noises and said a ton of gibberish for comedy? Well, Toby's kind of the same way, except he never stopped doing it.
Hello once again, audience. When we left off, someone told me that they wanted me to use the girlfriend bars in an entire video, and I said no.
Even though I was never a fan of this type of content, I cannot deny it worked very well for him. This channel received almost 90 million views a month at one point in 2013. But just like his other two channels, it dropped a whole lot. In this case, a bit over 1 million a month now. I think his biggest problem here was that Toby was never able to find a way to evolve his gaming content after that first big breakthrough. This wasn't just him though. Back in the day, there were a lot of people in the gaming community that just fell off the map shortly after their heyday. Before I go into detail about the allegations against Toby, I want to make it clear that they're only that, allegations. Nothing has been proven and it's only one person's word against another, so we should treat it as such. So let's talk a little bit about it. In April of 2016, an ex-girlfriend of Toby came forward on her Tumblr, making the accusation that Toby had taken advantage of her sexually, and many more details about their abusive relationship in this very long post. After this happened, many other girlfriends and acquaintances came forward with stories about Tobuscus, and things they witnessed him do. One story was told by the YouTuber I'm sure many of you watch, Philip DeFranco.
Then to the question, does Toby Turner have a substance abuse problem? I believe many people would probably say yes. There have been accusations recently about Molly, there have been accusations in the past about cocaine use. Many in the community have 1 to 5 Toby Turner stories around this. For me personally, without going into too much detail, those last 2 instances were my wedding, and another was a Super Bowl party around 3 years ago where we had to make him leave because he did something indecent in front of one of my female employees. I think a big part of that, once again, is him being surrounded by and only dealing with people that say yes. That if he gets touchy and enthusiastic about it or aggressive about it, that people have just gone along with it. And in my opinion, that was an instance of him doing stuff that was okay in his bubble and with his people, but not with anyone else in the real world that's not going to be okay with that.
Finally, as this story started to get picked up by many media outlets, Toby was forced to come out with a video statement, denying many of the crimes people were saying he allegedly committed.
A person I dated a few years ago has just made some extremely serious, false accusations about me. And I want to be crystal clear. I've never done anything without her consent. I read her Tumblr post and I was shocked and I was hurt. These allegations are absolutely false.
The reason I bring all this up is because people point to this exact scenario as why Tobuscus fell off the map. But honestly, if you look at his stats, that's not the case. This all went down in April of 2016. But looking at this chart, we can see that by this point, his channel had already been going downhill for a good 2 years. And after this occurred, you could see that there was no immediate drop-off. The truth is, Tobuscus as a brand had already been dying, and this whole incident merely assured that he was never going to get out of this hole. So what did kill Toby on YouTube? Well, it may not be the most exciting answer, but I just think the passing of time. Just like Epic Mealtime, not everything is meant to last forever, and this includes internet fame. He's had a good run making videos for over a decade, and much of this time was spent at the top of the world. But looking at his channels now, I kinda get the feeling I'm walking through a ghost town. Now you may be asking, based off of Toby's current channel stats, is there enough money there to make a living off of still? Well, sure, but the fact that he still resides in Los Angeles, I believe, which has a very high cost of living, means that his YouTube paycheck won't stretch very far. Plus, if his views continue to drop, the AdSense may no longer cover basic expenses. The good news is, Toby did make a crazy good amount of money back in the day, as in millions upon millions of dollars. The thing is, I have no clue how well he managed it while the going was good. On one hand, he may have partied it all away in his prime, but it's just as likely he has 5 million collecting interest in a diversified fund. If he did it right, he could be set for life. In conclusion, no matter how far he has fallen, Tobuscus still holds a very important place in internet history, as a pioneer of the online video industry with his channels accumulating billions of views. And nobody, including myself, can take that away from him. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. It's really appreciated. As for the question of the day, somebody wants to know a channel that I've been watching a lot recently, and a good one that I would say is Dan Bell, I believe his name is. He does a lot of the Dead Mall videos. They're very relaxing for me to watch him just walk through these abandoned malls that nobody goes through anymore. He has this cool music playing in the background. It's just a very relaxing experience. I would suggest you check him out. And I may start doing some more channel recommendations in the future on this channel. I think I'm going to do that right at the end of videos. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video today. And until next time, thanks for watching.
Apostrophe, tu sais ta part.